WPTV.
Welcome back to the desk. Pioneer football is here in a mid-season form. They've gotten off to a hot 4-2 start this season. Here to break it down with me all day is Andrew Ballistreri, Anthony Walker, and Joe Monroig. You know, Anthony, the Pioneers, like I said, got off to a hot 4-2 start this season. What has been your key to their success so far?
So you could just say defense, because the defense has been really good. But I'm going to focus in a little bit more. I'm going to say the secondary. Secondary has been insane. They have 8 interceptions this season. I'm going to highlight 2 guys for you. I'm going to highlight Devin Blunt. I'm going to highlight Tyrell Wigfall. Devin Blunt has 2 interceptions and 3 pass breakups. Tyrell Wigfall has 1 interception and 5 pass breakups. And let's not forget R.J. Massey, Patrick Green, and JoJo Kirby. They're all really good too. That entire secondary is locked down, and that's a big reason why the Pioneers have held their opponents to really low-scoring games through the first 6 games of the year.
Yeah, all the Pioneers secondary are really coming back from last year, looking to take another step up, maturing, gelling together. Andrew, what's your key?
I got to go with the run game, man. I mean, we've seen what Nazir Dale has done to start the season. Rashid Woods, Amir Alford, they've both been a big factor in this run game. Blocking's been great. Right now, William Paterson is 3rd in the NJAC in rushing yards, only behind Rowan and Salisbury. And Salisbury, as we know, runs the ball just about every single down. So, I mean, if this keeps up, the Nears are looking scary.
Nears are looking scary. 4-2. Joe, they got Rowan up this week. What are the keys you've seen from this season?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Walker already mentioned the secondary, but let's take a look at the total defense, right? Defense wins championships. Listen, they're 3rd in the NJAC in total defense. Samal Wingo's 2nd in the NJAC for tackles. All right, this is a team that has a lot of experience coming back, a lot of returners. Give a lot of credit to Coach Williams, all right? He's a great recruiter. They're heavy on the defensive side of things, right? On the D-line with Gore, Niles Adams, Bourne, the linebacker position with Elijah Bell and Hadi Coleman. And then you also have your outside linebackers with Samal Wingo and Nazir Wright. And again, that secondary that Walker mentioned. So this is a really good defense.
You know, Joe, you started off with, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. My key is coaching. Coach Sean Williams done a phenomenal job with the Pioneers this season. 4-2, I mean, who could have asked for a much better start? A lot of roster turnover from last season. They really rally around him, brings a lot of energy. And someone who also brings a lot of energy is freshman running back Nazir Dale. He's been on a tear as a rookie season here at William Paterson, already earning 2 rookie NJACs of the weeks. Andrew, what have you seen from the stud?
Yeah, man, like you said, Nazir Dale's been a stud. We'll take a look at the stats here. So far he's got 132 carries on the year with 646 yards. He's got 5 touchdowns on the year, 4.9 yards per carry, and 107 yards per game. A couple of those averages a little bit down from what they were a couple weeks ago, but he's almost 100 more yards than 2nd place in the NJAC. He started off super hot. He's cooled down a little bit, but he's definitely the focus of this Pioneer offense.
You know, Joe, what have you seen from the running back position?
Well, listen, give a lot of credit to Coach Stern, right? This team runs outside zone. They can also run inside zone, but their offense is more of a ground and pound team, and they really shown it with Nazir Dale really running the ball hard. I believe he has a couple of games where he's been over 100 yards or even more than that, right? But as a freshman, to really start as a running back and dominate the ground game, it's impressive. You don't see a lot of freshmen make a huge impact right away on a team.
Yeah, you know, especially they lost Tariq Riddick last year. I mean, there are question marks around the running back position.
Delaware University, actually. UDEL, excuse me.
That's a loss. He stepped up a great job. Anthony, what do you see from Dale?
Yeah, no, he's been insane. I mean, Bally looked at the stats, 4.9 yards a game, or a carry, over 107 yards a game. And Bally, you said those stats have been down recently. Can you imagine what they were a couple weeks ago? That's still incredibly impressive. But let's take a look at, and Bally mentioned this guy earlier, Amir Alford has been great as well for this run game too, and he's been a great supplemental piece for Nazir Dale this season. He has 5.3 yards a carry as well. So those 2 backs have really helped step up the Pioneer offense.
Help step up the Pioneer offense with that hot 4-2 start. They've got a couple NJAC games under their belt. They got 2 under their belt and about 4 remaining. Joe, which game are you looking for as the most important game to go forward?
Yeah, listen, NJAC conference play has finally kicked off, and I'm going to go with really CNU. And the reason I say CNU is important because this is a team you beat last year in your homecoming. You blew them out by 40 points. But most important, this team is good. This is a dark horse team this year in the NJAC. Paul Crowley, his first year as a head coach over there. Junior quarterback Matt Zierski, he was Offensive Player of the Year last year in the NJAC conference. You know, he could run the ball. He can pass the ball. He's a very dangerous guy in CNU, and if you could beat a CNU team that's very good and on the come up in the NJAC, you have a great chance to really, run the tables as well yourselves in the NJAC.
Yeah, beating CNU, they're going to be facing them up in 2 weeks. That's going to be a big game for the Pioneers. Anthony, I'll throw it over to you. What is your NJAC game that's going to be key for the Pioneers?
I got to look to homecoming, Jimmy. I mean, you look at TCNJ. Homecoming is a big marker for any team, for any school. So winning on homecoming would be huge for this team. Also, let's not forget that the Pioneers lost to TCNJ at TCNJ last year by a final 15-14, a fumble on the Pioneers' final drive of the game. If you remember, they were driving, they got into opposing territory. Spencer Lee, quarterback at the time, got sacked, fumbled, and that was the end of the game. So the Pioneers really looking to get some revenge here against TCNJ, and I think they will.
Andrew, TCNJ, Christopher Newport, what is your key game?
I got to go with another rivalry game, another revenge game at Montclair State University. The final game of the regular season had a heartbreaking 1-point loss to Montclair last year. We're 1-15 all time against Montclair. These Pioneers, man, they're hungry. They want to eat, dude. This defense looks great. Nazir Dale looks great. So I'm really excited for that game coming November.
You're kind of wearing Montclair colors, I have to say.
I'm really sorry. It'll never happen again.
That was a heartbreaker last year. My key game is Rowan this week. We're coming off a tough loss against Salisbury this past week. Rowan's 3-2 to start off this season. Games like this, coming off tough losses, this is what defines your season. I would love to see the Pioneers get back on the winning track. And I'm going to keep it with Rowan. They're coming up to William Paterson this week. William Paterson got another home game this weekend. Pioneers. Anthony, what are you looking out for in this big matchup?
So we're going to take a look at the stats here between Rowan and William Paterson University, and this is a big game for the Pioneers. Because the Pioneers, if they win, they will clinch a 500 season. They were trying to do that last year. They couldn't quite get it done. And you look at the record, Rowan is 3-2. They are 1-1 in the NJAC. Pioneers are 4-2. They're also 1-1 in the NJAC. Points per game, Rowan is outscoring the Pioneers by about 10 yards per game, opponent yards per game. As you can see, Rowan is a high scoring team. They're going to score a lot of points. They're averaging 381 yards a game. That's a lot. But they're also giving up around like 280 yards per game as well. So that's a big takeaway for me. The Pioneers lead in interceptions, so I expect that secondary to feast for William Paterson. And this is a very evenly matched game on both ends. I think this is going to shake out to be a really good game.
The high-octane offense, but the Pioneers get after on defense. Going to have to force some turnovers. Andrew, I'll throw it over to you. What are you looking out for in this game against Rowan?
I'm looking out for James Farrer, the junior running back out of Point Pleasant. For Rowan, he's already has 500 rushing yards, and he's averaging 5 yards a carry. So I'm a little nervous to see him. Rowan's coming off a big win against TCNJ. We had a tough loss against Salisbury. The Pioneers are looking to get back on track. Yeah,
really had a hard time stopping the run last season. Pioneers know they can run it on their own. Joe, what are your thoughts on this game?
Listen, the props from Glassboro, this is a very explosive offense, okay? When you look at senior quarterback Mike Hunsey, last game, 16% completion, 1 touchdown, 183 yards. He threw a couple interceptions, though. Again, Ballet mentioned John Farrer. He's the best running back, probably their best offensive weapon, next to John Maldonado, the senior receiver, who's another guy who dominates in their passing game. But I think they're really going to challenge the defense this week. And for the offense, though, for the Pioneers, you got to move the chains, you got to keep it going, and you got to score. You cannot settle for 4 and outs.
The Pioneers have not scored 4-2 record, but they have not scored above 30 points this season. Rowan's done it twice. It's going to be a high-scoring game. The Pioneers are going to have to do more on the offensive end. But we wish the Pioneers the best of luck. And from going to the college gridiron to the pros, we're going to take it over to Mark and the NFL guys right here on WPTV.